Instead of skipping class, I just fell asleep. Oh my god, leave. Why? Oh yeah, movie time was nap time for sure. Honestly, I would read books during class. Like, if I was bored, I would pretend that I'm reading the textbook that we're, like, currently, like, supposed to be reading out of, and I would read my own book. Pain by numbers on purpose. Because I was in pain. Oh my god, true. I didn't even catch that you said pain. I totally read it as paint by numbers. I totally read it as paint by numbers. Every day of my life, I'm forced to add another name to the list of people who piss me off and I'd wear it to school. I love it. My teachers thought my parents only had me because they didn't like yard work. Wait, what? It was an unspoken thing. That's fucked, Giant. I'm sorry. I was really sleepy in high school. Are you not also just a sleepy adult now, Leave? I feel like you take a decent amount of naps. I think part of teaching is making learning easy. I think we're so used to teachers just spitting info. Yeah, you know what? Making it easier and like making sure that students are learning in ways that are good for them, right? Okay, I see what you mean. That makes sense. Instead of just being like, bleh, here's the information. Okay, I can get on board with that. Especially with math-based subjects. Show me an easy example and a hard example. Let me do my own thing at the back of the class. Well, you need to do another million examples that people needed. Okay, that's fair. See, I was one of those students that needed the million extra examples for math. Yeah, leave you sleepy bean. Except Gary, he was alright. Many people go into teaching for the wrong reasons. Absolutely, I agree, Casey. I think people go into teaching, at least here, because it's decently easy to get into and it's a cushy job. Not gonna lie. I think lots of teachers here get into it because it's a cushy job. School should teach the stuff that needs to be taught. Yep, like how to adult. Teach me how to adult, please. Didn't get enough sleep in high school. It's much better in college. Okay, now. That's good at least. Loads of people getting into teaching here since we have a teacher shortage. Ooh, the entry fees are half price. But see, I hope those people are going into it for the right reasons. To, like, teach people and, like, be a good influence on somebody's life, you know? Did most of my studying by teaching other people to do the math homework, and that's a perfectly viable and acceptable way of learning, Tangible. You know why? Because there's some people out there that learn by teaching. And that makes sense to me, you know what I mean? That was your learning method. Strange Newfie accent. Would call himself Gary. I love that. Taxes, doing budgets, exactly, that type of stuff. I agree, Giant. I think the only thing that we did in like math class that kind of touched on real life was like mortgages. I don't think they will. There are always some rotten apples in the stack, if you know what I mean. Absolutely. Sure do, Run and Chew. I think my mom was really nice. She once asked a girl to stay overtime and asked her to make a list of exercise. The girl was like, what the fuck? And did it. She then told her, okay, this is your test. You got a B+. You're not a bad student. You're just too anxious doing tests. Honestly, Tosh, your mom sounds like an amazing teacher. And honestly, I wish there were more teachers out there that actually cared about their students learning and their well-being, and tested them in ways that, like, were conducive to actually seeing if they know the content. You know what I mean? Because some people are just anxious taking tests and they forget everything and they blank, right? That's really awesome. That's really awesome. Your mom sounds like a great human. Great Big C played in my city growing up, and he asked everyone in class if we were going to see Gert Big C. Oh my god. Oh no, somebody laughed and said Gert Big Belly. That's sad. Your poor teacher. You had the sweetest biology teacher. Me too. She was the best. I loved my biology teacher. She was also my chem teacher. I loved her so much. We need more teachers like your mom. Absolutely. You're a very bad test taker. That's totally fair, Hannah. I get really anxious during tests too. I hated exams for that reason, you know? 6 months into COVID, he had a brain tumor. Oh, that's so sad, Masala. Favorite test tip is to do tests backwards. You can't tell if other people are ahead of you. You usually do the hardest questions at the end. See, I would always do my tactic with exams and test taking was do everything I know the answer to for sure, and then go back to the things that I might have to think out a little bit longer. I would try and go and do as many short answers as I could. I would leave the essay to the end, but I would plan the essay. I'd do all my little notes for planning my essay out, and then I would write it at the end because I